Just wing it.
Just wing it.
Hello, it's Fainta, the queer millennial. And today, we're going to have a conversation about whether you should tell your coworkers if you're gay, or queer, or trans, or whatever. The reason I want to talk about this topic is because I had a coworker who asked me if I had a boyfriend, and I literally did not know what to say. And I said no, and it wasn't a lie. Then, this same person saw a patient at our hospital who's getting gender-affirming surgery, and had the description shows up about what the procedure was, and she said, "Oh, I guess we do that now." And me hearing that was like her saying, "Wow, we have those people now. Those people, like they're an alien or something." And so you can understand my discomfort interacting with this person who was prying into my private life and asking if I have a boyfriend. Because it doesn't seem to me that she's very friendly towards queer people. So why would I tell them? Why would I do that? And so we were discussing, what were we discussing?
We were discussing whether you should tell them and whether not telling them is some sort of like hatred,
Yeah.
some sort of
Yeah.
homophobia.
Yeah, like internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
Like, because people do that, right? Like, they don't tell people.
Yeah, especially, I would say, 10 plus years ago, there was a lot of like the like self-hating sort of homophobia.
Yeah.
Where people internalized a lot of it, and a lot of it would come out as them being sort of homophobic, but in reality, they're just internalizing sort of their own,
Yeah, like they're uncomfortable with themselves, and so they don't want to tell other people.
Yeah.
And they like make fun of them.
Yeah.
Even though they themselves are.
Yeah. And I think we have gotten more to a point where it's less about self-loathing and that internalized homophobia, and it's more about preservation.
Yeah.
People are more like, I don't want to tell people because I'm afraid of the repercussions that it could have.
Yeah.
Even though society has gotten to a point where they're less homophobic.
Yeah.
There's still homophobia out there. There's still transphobia. But it's decreased significantly.
Yeah, and it's like covert now. It's not like overt discrimination.
Right.
And like living in California, I think there's like laws now that
There's a lot
prohibit
of protections in place.
Yeah. But even then, like, sometimes when you tell people, then they still like treat you differently. And even though, like, I don't know, you don't get fired or like, I don't know, something like that severe, they're still like...
Sometimes people will still make you uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
They'll be less, what's the word I'm looking for? Less friendly, I guess. Less colleague, coworker-ish, and they'll become more like distanced.
Yeah.
And they'll basically go out of their way to ignore you or treat you like you're not a person.
Yeah, so why would you want to tell somebody if they're going to be like that?
Yeah.
And I guess, like, part of it is figuring out who you can trust. Because, like, at a place of work, like, I mean, you're not there to socialize and talk about your private life. Like, you're there to work. So, I don't know. I can set up boundaries for myself.
Yeah. It's also very situational, right? Because some places that you work, like with the work that I do, people are more social, outside of just doing work. We're in meetings together. We're constantly interacting with each other. So, yeah, at some point, things like that might come up indirectly, right? Someone's not going to straight up just ask you, about your partner. It probably will just come up indirectly in conversation.
That's true. Like, oh, what'd you do this weekend?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how do you explain that to them without bringing gender and sexual orientation into it? Because as soon as you say, oh, my partner and I,
Yeah.
did this, they're gonna be like, your partner. So there's questions there now.
Yeah. Or if you just like say like, you know, girlfriend, or like,
Well, yeah, if you say
you've been
girlfriend,
saying like straight up.
then there's no more questions. It's kind of direct.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's hard. I don't know. It becomes a question of like, how much are your friends your coworkers your friends?
They can
And
be.
that's like
can
a
be.
whole different question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can be, and they don't have to be at the same time, I think is the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of my really close friends were previous, like, colleagues of mine.
That's true.
They're people that I worked with. And you form these really strong bonds with people because you're around them
Like for 8 hours a
for
day.
8+ hours a day.
Yeah. That's like more time than we spend with each other.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have an answer. What did you say? You can,
You can,
but you don't have to.
but you don't have to. And you don't have to disclose that information. And if you feel uncomfortable disclosing it, you shouldn't. I would say always trust your gut instinct. You could be wrong. I mean, the person may not be homophobic or transphobic or anything, but I feel like it's better to err on the side of caution instead of, especially depending on where you live, right? Like California, there's tons of protections in place for employment, but not everybody
has that.
Yeah, not everybody has that, unfortunately. So
yeah, safety first.
Safety first, yes. Always safety first.
Yeah. Yeah, so funny story. This colleague yesterday, we had DoorDash, and we had a snafu where we didn't get our order in time and had to go to work. So then I made Sean. This is Sean, by the way. I don't think we introduced you.
No, we didn't. But I'm Sean.
Sean/Foxy.
Yep, Foxy.
Whichever one. Sammy's pooping again.
I'm on duty again.
Duty. So I went to work without having the DoorDash arrive, and then I made Sean drop it off. I didn't make her, but
I offered to drop it off. I was like, oh, it's okay. Like, I'll just eat, the sushi that I want out of it, and I'll just hop in the car and bring it. Bring it to you.
I'm not gonna say no. I'm gonna say yes if you offer, okay?
And she should.
So then I went to work, and then Sean arrived. Then I was at work, so I was like, can I go pick up my food from the lobby real quick? So I went to get it, and then I come back, and then this coworker was like, oh, did you just DoorDash? And me being me with my inability to lie said kind of, wherein I should have just said yes, and then no more questions would have been asked. But I said kind of, and then I was like, I DoorDashed at home, but I had to leave for work. So somebody brought my DoorDash here. And then they were like, so they had even more questions. I was like, God damn it. Did the DoorDash driver drive all the way up here? And I was like, no. And then they were like, and then she was like, do you have a boy at home? I was like, no. Do you live with someone? I was like, no, I live alone. And she's like, you have a neighbor? I'm like, I guess my neighbor could bring it if I paid them enough money. Basically, I was dodging all the questions. And eventually she gave up. But then later that night, it came up somehow again. And she was like, I feel like other people know. And I'm like, yeah, other people do know. And I told her straight to her face, like, I don't want to tell you because you seem very Christian and very, like, proper, traditional, conservative, whatever word you want to use. And then she kind of explained, like, yeah, I'm Christian, but, like, I'm not, like, I guess hardcore. And I was like, are you a progressive Christian? She's like, I guess that's a good word for it. And she was, like, giving examples, like, oh, like the pastor that at the church that she goes to is, like, telling people, like, you need to come to church even though it's COVID. And then she's like, oh, no, like, why does my relationship with God have to depend on, like, going to a building? And I was like, okay, like, I agree with that. So then I asked her straight to her face what she thought about gay people. And she said, well, like, I don't know, if people are happy and like go on with their life, they don't do anything to me, then I'm fine with it. So like if my niece told me she was gay, she would just be like, oh, as long as you're happy. And I was so surprised. I was like, this was not the avatar that I was building in my head about you based on the clues that I was given in the past. And I was like, oh, interesting. Surprise. People can surprise you.
They can. They can. Yep. But still better to err on the side of caution.
That's true. Until you know.
Until you know.
Until you know for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you're being self-loathing until you know for sure.
No. Like we said, it's self-preservation.
Yes. Okay, the end.
The end. Goodbye.
Goodbye. You want to see the doggies?
Yeah.
If I can use this gimbal thing, is it in the screen? I'm unsure. It's very bright outside. Alright, Sean said I need to say, make sure to like and subscribe if you found this video interesting and of value. If you have any comments about this topic and whatever you think, if you agree or disagree.
Or if you think that it's self-loathing or if it's self-preservation, make sure you comment down below.
Do it. Do it.